The first slap landed so loudly that even the neighbors paused their generators. Pra. Chinedu staggered backward, his hand flying instinctively to his burning cheek. The taste of iron filled his mouth. His ears rang. For a moment, he wasn't sure if he was still standing in his own living room or if the floor had shifted beneath him. Amarachi towered over him like a queen stripped of mercy. Her eyes were wild. Her Ankara gown swayed. Her earrings trembled violently against her neck. "So this is what you've been doing?" she shouted, her voice cracking like broken glass. Chinedu blinked slowly, breathing through the pain. He had been slapped before, insulted before, belittled before, but something about today felt different. Dangerous. Final. "Amara," he whispered, trying to keep his voice steady. "Just let me explain." Another slap. Harder, faster, louder. This one knocked him to his knees. The cleaner, Mama Peace, froze halfway down the hallway, mop dripping soapy water onto the tiles. The gate man outside stopped sweeping. Even the dog in the kennel whimpered. But Amarachi didn't slow down. Her breathing was rough, uneven, almost frantic. "Look at you," she spat. "Standing there like an innocent man. You think you can fool me inside my own house? House that my money built?" Chinedu's throat tightened. He wanted to speak. He wanted to defend himself. He wanted to tell her the truth. But how do you speak when the person you love refuses to hear you? Still kneeling on the shiny marble floor, he lifted his head slowly. "I'm not lying to you," he whispered. "You're misunderstanding everything." "Shut up." Her voice sliced through him like a blade. "You hid this from me," she yelled, pointing to the glass center table, and the brown hospital envelope sitting there like a criminal waiting for judgment. Inside were receipts, medical papers, evidence she didn't fully understand. But what she thought she understood was enough to set the entire house on fire. "You hid this behind my back, Chinedu. A whole envelope, a whole secret. And you have the guts, the boldness to stand here and say it's not what I think?" Chinedu swallowed hard. His silence only made her angrier. "Answer me," she screamed. "Who are you paying hospital bills for? Who are you visiting? Who is the woman? Who is the child? Tell me now before I break something in this house." Her hands shook. Not just with anger, but with fear. It was buried deep. But it was there. She wasn't just angry at the idea of betrayal. She was terrified. Terrified of being humiliated. Terrified of being replaced. Terrified of being seen as the woman who could afford the world but couldn't keep her husband. Chinedu finally rose to his feet, slow and gentle, not wanting to trigger her further. "No woman, no child, no secret family," he said, trying to steady his breathing. "Just let me talk." But at that moment, the front door creaked open. A small gasp froze the room. "Daddy?" Both adults turned sharply. Their 6-year-old daughter, Kamsi, stood at the doorway. Her tiny hands clutched her teddy bear as if it were a shield. Her socks were dusty from the school playground, her hair tied into small puffs with pink ribbons. But her eyes were full of fear. "Daddy, why is Mummy beating you again?" she whispered. Chinedu's heart cracked like old wood. Amara froze. The strength drained from her face. For a moment, she looked like someone who had been caught doing something unspeakable. "Kamsi, go upstairs," she ordered, trying to sound firm. The little girl didn't move. "Mummy, stop shouting," she whispered. Something inside Amarachi snapped, but not in anger, in guilt. "Go upstairs," she cried again, voice shaking. Kamsi flinched hard, then ran up the stairs, her teddy bear dropping halfway. Forgotten. The slam of her bedroom door echoed louder than the slap earlier. Amarachi covered her face with one trembling hand. For the first time since the argument started, she looked unsure, ashamed, human. Chinedu picked up the teddy bear and placed it on the sofa quietly. Amara, he said softly, this has to stop. We can't keep living like this. You can't keep hitting me. You think this is about hitting? She snapped, bitterness swallowing her guilt. This is about you lying to me, you hiding things. I'm not hiding anything, he said calmly. Then what is this? She shouted, picking up the envelope and shaking it in his face. Explain this. Explain the hospital. Explain the number I saw. Explain the transactions you kept deleting. I wasn't cheating. Liar. Her voice cracked. Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them back fiercely. You men are all the same, she spat. Once a woman starts making money, you start looking outside. You start running to cheaper women. Women who won't ask you for anything. Women who won't remind you that you're not useful. Chinedu's face tightened in pain, not the physical slap. The words. Those words stabbed deeper than any hit ever could. Amara, I would never do that to you, he said quietly. I loved you when we didn't have anything. I love you now. But you don't even see me anymore. She looked away sharply, but he wasn't finished. You see money. You see status. You see power. But you don't see your husband. You don't see that I'm trying. Her jaw clenched. Trying? Trying? You think trying is enough in this economy? She paced the floor like a woman walking through fire. When I met you, you had ambition, she said bitterly. But ambition cannot pay school fees. Ambition cannot pay rent. Ambition cannot buy this house. Ambition cannot feed this family. Chinedu breathed slowly, painfully. And I never complained about you earning more, he whispered. Never once. I was proud of you. She stopped, turned, stared at him. Proud? She said softly, voice trembling. Do you know how embarrassing it is to be the one doing everything? To be the one people think married her husband for charity? Amara, no, let me talk, she shouted. People laugh at me behind my back. They say I married a man who can't provide. They say you're my handbag husband. They say I'm the man in this marriage. Her voice broke completely. I work so hard, Chinedu. I carry so much. I fight every day. And one small sign that my husband might be sneaking around? And you expect me to stay calm? Chinedu's chest softened with unexpected sympathy. He didn't know she carried all that weight. But before he could respond, there was a sudden, loud, sharp knock on the door. Knock. Both of them jerked their heads toward the entrance. Another knock. Firmer, slower. Knock, knock. Amara's heartbeat accelerated. Chinedu's breath caught in his throat. Nobody was expected. Not at this hour. Not during this chaos. Who is that? Amara whispered. No answer. Her hand trembled as she walked toward the door. Chinedu stepped forward. Cautious. Alert. Amara yanked the door open. And then her entire world stopped. Standing outside was a thin woman with tired eyes, dust on her wrapper, and a small boy asleep on her shoulder. A boy who had Chinedu's nose, Chinedu's eyes, Chinedu's lips. The kind of resemblance that doesn't ask questions. It answers them. Amara's voice broke into a whisper. Chinedu, who is this? Chinedu's breath seized. His heartbeat pounded. This moment, this very moment, was the one he had feared for almost a year. He opened his mouth. But before he could speak, the woman on the doorstep said quietly, Good evening. I came because I didn't know who else to run to. Amara turned to her husband sharply. Her voice cracked. Chinedu, tell me the truth. Who is this woman? Who is this child? And what have you been hiding from me? Her question didn't just hang in the air. It suffocated it. And it was the question that would tear open secrets neither of them were prepared for. The knock didn't just interrupt the argument. It cut through it, like a blade slicing the air. Knock. 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 The sound was calm. Too calm for a house boiling with rage. Amarachi froze mid-breath. Chinedu's heartbeat slammed against his ribs. Their living room, moments ago a battlefield, fell into an uneasy silence. Again, knock, knock. The door vibrated lightly with each strike. Amara slowly turned, her wrapper rustling. Who is knocking at this time? Her voice was a thin thread of anger and fear woven together. Chinedu exhaled shakily. Maybe it's a rider delivering. I didn't order anything, she snapped. He raised his hands in surrender. Okay. The knocking came again, more urgent now. Amara's heartbeat quickened. She wiped the sweat on her forehead with shaking fingers. Her anger was still hot, but something else crept behind it. Dread. They weren't expecting anyone. Nobody should be knocking. Not now. Not tonight. She took a slow step toward the door, then another. Then another. As she reached the handle, she whispered under her breath, God, please, don't let this be what I think it is. Chinedu stood behind her, uneasy, wishing he could hold her arm. But he didn't dare. She had turned into fire tonight. With a shaky hand, she pulled the door open. The air left her lungs. Her fingers slipped off the door. Her voice died in her throat. A woman stood outside. A thin woman, worn, drained, carrying exhaustion like a second skin. Her clothes were faded. Her slippers were almost tearing. Her hands trembled from carrying the small boy asleep against her shoulder. But what struck Amara? What pulled the ground from beneath her feet? Was the boy, the child, the small boy with eyes closed, breathing softly. A child who looked so painfully, impossibly like her husband. Same nose, same forehead, same eyebrows. Even the curve of his lips, that soft downward curl, looked exactly like Chinedu's. Amara's world tilted. Her voice cracked. Chinedu, she whispered. Who is this? Who is this? Chinedu swallowed hard. His mouth felt dry. This moment, the one he'd prayed would never come, stared him in the face. Before he could respond, the woman outside whispered, Good evening, madam. Her voice was tiny, trembling. Amara ignored her completely. Her eyes were glued to the child. The resemblance. The undeniable, unarguable resemblance. Her chest tightened. Her ears buzzed. Her fingers curled into fists. Slowly, she turned toward her husband. Chinedu, she said, barely breathing. Explain this. Chinedu took a step forward. Amara, let me... No. Her voice cracked like a whip. No explanations, no smooth stories, no lies. Just tell me who this woman is and why the child looks like you. The woman outside flinched. The sleeping boy shifted slightly, nuzzling into her neck. Chinedu raised both hands as if she were a police officer pointing a gun. Amara, calm down. Calm down, she screamed, her voice echoing down the street. You bring a whole child to my doorstep and you say, calm down. She took a step closer to him. Her voice fell into a deadly whisper. So it's true. All my fears, all my suspicions, everything I sensed in my spirit. No, listen. You cheated. No, you had a child outside. No, You cheated on me and hid the child. Her voice cracked so violently that Mama Peace, the cleaner, poked her head out from the corridor, eyes wide. The woman on the doorstep whispered, Madam, please let me Shut your mouth, Amara snapped at her. The woman clutched the sleeping boy protectively. Amara turned sharply back to her husband. The rage in her eyes burned so bright it almost hid the pain beneath. Almost. Chinedu, she whispered, voice trembling with disbelief and heartbreak. How long have you been funding your second family? Chinedu felt the ground spin. There is no second family, he said, breathing fast. Please, just listen. Oh, I'm listening, she spat. In fact, the whole estate will listen today. She pointed at the envelope still on the table. That hospital receipt, that payment, that number, was it for this child? The woman whispered. Yes, but I said don't talk, Amara barked. The woman's lips snapped shut. Amara's voice softened dangerously. So you've been paying for his health? She asked. Chinedu nodded slowly. Yes. Her voice rose again. So you can provide? You can provide for another woman and her child, but not your own wife? Chinedu stepped forward. Amara, please, answer me, Chinedu. He took a deep breath. Slow, shaking. Because now he had no choice but to reveal the truth. Amara, he said softly, that child is not mine. Amara laughed, a dry, humorless, broken laugh. Look at him. Even a blind person can see the resemblance. She leaned closer to the boy's face. He shifted, his tiny lips pouting, looking even more like Chinedu. Amara staggered backward slightly. You still want to lie? Here? In front of me? Chinedu shook his head. No lies. Just listen. She glared at him. Then talk. He inhaled deeply, his eyes softening with a pain she had never seen. That woman is not my lover, he said. She is my late brother's wife. Amara blinked. Once, twice. The words didn't sink in immediately. She narrowed her eyes. What did you just say? She is Abuka's widow, Chinedu repeated. And that little boy is my brother's son, my nephew. The woman finally spoke, voice breaking. Yes, madam, it's true.